Okay, aloha everyone. This is MiraKle King. Today, it's a new moment. And yet, in this moment, it is infinitely ever expanding, never changing, always beginning. Because even though the human-generated creative field of the Matrix and the cities of the world as we know it is completely imploding. If you tune into the great Gaia sphere in this beautiful sacred site with all these pohakus, which is sacred stones in Hawaiian, we can feel the ka-mu. Ka-mu. Ka-mu in ancient Hawaiian, ancient Lemurian, is the great silence after union. And that is what we have here in this space. Here in nature, in the natural, organic, unfiltered, raw world, when we can choose to get off the 5G OD, 5GOD, 5 God, and get into the infinite space of what is possible. Right here, right now. So today, I would love to be able to give a transmission, a consciousness transference of 5G, O, 0 point, omega point, and D, fifth dimension, ka-mu, 5 G-O-D, ka-mu. The great silence after union. As we move beyond the 5G, the 0 point, and the 5D, to go all the way in to the void, to the great silence, the infinite intelligence within that voidal silence that births everything in existence. So we gotta be able to really drop into the nothingness to be able to merge with everything in existence. And yet, as we move along the timeline of the 3D right now, we see implosion theory that has been long talked about for many, many, many moons. And now, it's no longer a theory. It's what's happening. And all of us in the waking, dream, and dreamless states are tuning in to the fact that what has been created so far by the human brain and body in coherence is now finally coming into fruition. So this planned pandemic is now training the neural response in your brain functionality, especially the amygdala, which is your fight or flight response, which is the fear response, which is your adrenaline that moves into the normalization of every time you leave the house now, you got to grab the mask. Before you go into the store to do your daily habits of making business exchanges or stocking up on food or going to the farmer's market, you got to think about that mask, right? So there is a collective false evidence appearing real, a fear that has permeated society, not just in the Americas, but all around the world. So today I wanted to address this fear right on, which is that it's time for 5-God Kamu. And what I mean by that is that many of us here that actually listen to all my words, and not just listen to them, but hear them. This is the activation code for your fulfillment of your deepest mastery. Mastery that's not hanging out up here in the mental air and ether mode, but actually moving all the way down into your Dantian, from your heart down into your Dantian and into the root. And it is about survival of the species. The survival of your children's 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 children. The writing on the wall is no longer the writing on the wall. The wall is crumbling as we speak. And guess what? It just started crumbling. So that means everything that's on the other side of that wall is going to be exposed. And I'm sorry to say, but it's not going to be very pretty. It's going to actually be really, 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 really downright ugly. And it's going to possibly and potentially get tougher than it's ever been before. And I'm not talking about just wearing a mask and feeling all the fear that's around, or creating 6 feet of social distancing, or round 2, round 3, round 4, all the different rounds of what's possible when you start to activate the dis-ease of false evidence appearing real. Now, I'm not saying that death is not happening. I'm not saying that people are not getting sick. I'm not saying that illness is not ever ramping up in the cities of the world in the moment. Because guess what? We all die. We all go through the transition phase from life force into moving beyond life force. And in fact, there is no death, because I've died 7 times, and I know, because I've been to the other side, and I've come back. So what I want to say to you is that you need to decide whether you are going to die in every breath from now until the end of your days, doing the things that are pre-programmed on purpose to keep you in a containment field of manipulation and false evidence appearing real, fear, or if you're going to choose to take your full God, Goddess, Mother, Father, infinite source expanding power back to connect in to the infinite legions of masterful, unified light. Because that is literally what is at stake right now. And there is great love here. There is tremendous love available. But each and every soul that's listening to this message is going to have to really decide what it is that you're here for on the surface of the planet. And I get it. There's a lot of trial and tribulation. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of false news. There's a lot of false conversations. There's a lot of false texting right now. Social media is obliterated with bullshit. Spiritual bullshit, conspiracy bullshit, conspiracy theories that actually aren't bullshit, that have finally come true. And the fact is that it's happening. So you can either live in your little, bubble screen hijack, looking at the screen 10 to 12 hours a day, not really connecting with what's happening here in the great silence after union, because this is what is here for you right now. And I get it. Some of you have a hard time meditating. There's so much anxiety. There's so much stress. You know, you got babies to feed. Some of you are in complete denial. You know, it's like, oh, waiting for the Savior, waiting for the quick fix. Oh, it's going to be normal. We're going to go back to normal. Well, let me tell you, there is no fucking normal anymore. Sorry to say. We left that timeline several months ago. So, 5 God Ka Mu. This is the moment. The double spiral. The infinite vortex. The infinite possibility and potential of us moving forward with presence, with truth, with grace, conviction, to be able to vibrate from the deepest resource of intelligence, which is in the seat of our soul, the sacred heart, that we can see through all the timelines that are based on separation and duality, when we can see through all the manipulation and all the bullshit on the spiritual side and the material side. Spiritual materialism and material materialism are hand in hand, moving through right now the square box grid, which is being interfaced with artificial malevolent intelligence, hijacking. What I mean by hijacking is that there are programs and patterns that are not for the fullest potential and the highest good of humanity, based on bad habits. And the biggest, baddest habit right now is the incessant connection to the screen, which is part of the grid, which is a square box, a rectangle. So we have rectangles that we are looking at every day, different sizes. We put our food in a cold rectangle upright box. We sleep primarily, most of us, in rectangle beds, on rectangle. Everything is a rectangle. Everything is a box. Do you ever ask yourself why I have the problems that I have? There was a reason why, during the ancient times, when the indigenous people saw the Caucasian people, the white man, coming in their big ships, and they started cutting down all the trees and creating log square boxes to live in. There was a reason why the indigenous people lived in teepees and wigwams and yurts and other structures based on domes, based on cones, based on spiral pyramids, because it allowed the energetic patterns and programs to be released naturally, to create a field and an alignment with how they thought inside and they felt inside, and how they lived outside were in congruency with the natural world. And now, because we have such an ingrained habitual pattern, we can't spend too much time in nature because we got to go back to the box. Can't spend too much time outside camping with the children because we got to go back to the grid. And do you understand that this habitual collective patterning is now being forced and pushed and mangled all the way into your consciousness right now? So deeply that you are so easily manipulated into fear? And this is why the artificial bubble screen hijack is happening right now, in this moment, and is being propagated as more and more satellites go up into the electrosmog around our planet, as more and more people get online, as more and more people are no longer managing their time outside the box. So, human beings, we're really resilient. We are fascinating, intelligent creatures. We have the capabilities of what Prime Creator and the omniversal energy has given us. We can be intelligently outside, and we can stare at a screen, and we can ride in a box with wheels, and we can navigate on all of these grids of our cities that are based on square boxes, and we can navigate through all of these angles. All of these angles. Angles. In a box, there are no curves in a box. There are zero curves. And because there's no curvature, space-time gets confused and it gets locked in. And once you're locked in, you get locked down. And once you're locked down, so many things can come and hijack you. So many energies can start to squeeze all the rest of that juice. And I know some of you are so good at playing the box game. Some of you have made billions of dollars playing the box game. You get all enthusiastic and so juicy about your box game. I get it. You're helping people. Some of you are at the front lines right now. You got to spend all the time putting all the online programs, putting all the presentations, get on all the different team building exercises. You're putting everything online. I get it. Totally get it. It's what you need to do. I'm totally not saying that's a bad thing. But what I am saying is that as a collective species, we are going to go down with this old box-like Spanish galleon. And it's already happening. And the only way is to activate 5 God Kamu. 5 G-O-D, becoming God, presence, the I Am Interology, Kamu, the great silence after human. The great silence after union. Union. It is sacred. And yet, there are so many separation frequencies, so much darkness being conjured to the surface, and ultimately it's a beautiful thing. It's challenging, it's intense, it's not very fun to look at, and we're just in the beginning of the wash cycle. I like to tell people that, since February, March, the first round of the coronavirus was just the welcome mat to the house of cards. Now, we're just opening the door for the first time. So, it's going to be really important when you decide to get in the vibration of Kamu. Kamu is not a static place. It's a deep place that goes beyond fight or flight, that goes beyond infinite amounts of neurochemicals of cortisol and, different types of stress chemicals, anxiety chemicals running rampant through your body. It goes beyond the analytical mind. This is being able to really move beyond yours and your family and your community and your country and the whole world's stress, global stress hormone, and move into the collective autonomic nervous system, because that is going online right now. It is going fully online right now and available for all, individually, groups, and as a collective species. And this is literally a clarion call to every single one of you who feel the words that I'm speaking, and not just the words, but the vibration of where I'm coming from. You're going to have to take a major time out from the bullshit. A major time out from activating all your adrenaline in order to do the thing, to get the thing, to do the thing. To get your business going, to make sure it's successful while everything else is imploding. Okay? You're going to have to choose right now to take a fucking big time out to that energy. And start to move into the collective autonomic nervous system vibrational alignment. And when you can do that, then your actions, your thoughts, and your feelings are all going to create a tri-unified field of service to the greater activation and awakening of 5 God Kamu mastery. And right now, we are in a launching. We are in a launching of the birth of a whole new universe. A whole new universe that's based on a unit principle of a field of coherent consciousness. But you're going to have to remove yourself from the hijack in order to receive the transmission. In order to receive the transmission, you're going to have to remove yourself from the habitual hijack of the square box unconscious languaging grid. It has become unconscious because most of you are not even conscious of it anymore. You use it not consciously. You take it for granted. You think it's the only way you can exchange currency for goods and services. Whether it's a chain on a block or a block on a chain, whether it's a fiat currency that's being printed, and even that, there is a whole lensing right now so that there's not even exchange of physical connection because currency is disappearing. It is, coins are not being minted, cashless society. Only digits on a square block grid. So the quest right now is to be able to transfer enough of my vibratory alignment as MiraKle King for 5 God Kamu mastery into each and every one of your souls that's hearing this. Because we are in massive crunch time. And for those of us who have life, mission, purposeful, universal projects that are here to realign our universe with the omniverse, knowing that we've been living in a fallen universe, in a fallen galaxy, in a fallen solar system, and a fallen earth, that it's time to rise. We rise not by trying to hijack the old paradigm to make it seemingly better with a slippery band-aid that's not even sticky anymore. Whether it's economically, financially, whether it's with technology, I'm sorry to say, we rise by getting closer to our autonomic nervous system inside of ourselves through deep, coherent meditation and referencing and interfacing with others that have done that work. And choosing to co-create and co-actualize and co-build on the ground before the first cob sustainable brick is laid, we have to get into that deep, coherent, meditative state. And therefore, then we interface and lens into a unit principle that's going to be beyond all of this false evidence appearing real. Because the humanity that I know is still hugging each other. The humanity that I know in my reality is still kissing each other with love. The humanity that I know is still touching each other. And not afraid of their fellow brothers and sisters. Humans, wake up. This is your wake-up call. It's time. It's go time. We got work to do. And I'm right here. In the infinite Kamu, all things are possible. Tashidelek, Namaste, Mahalo Keakua. And so it is.